So hello guys, this is a different video and uh, yeah, I was thinking that dynamic programming is quite an important topic, so let's do a question related to that in this video. And I'm trying something different, like I will solve the problem, and also I will do it dynamically on the camera even if I have not seen the problem or even if I have seen the problem, and maybe in the next video I will explain the solution of the problem. So I'm just trying out different methods to see what works the best, because the main idea is to solve the problem and try to come up with an approach, and also show my thinking process. And yeah, so let's get started. So so this is these are the DB problems on LeetCode, and let's pick any problem. Let's pick this problem randomly, integer break. I've not solved this problem before and I don't know how to do it. So given a positive integer n, break it into the sum of at least two positive integers and maximize the product of these integers. Return the maximum products you can get. Okay, so if we have two, we need to break it into two different integers, at least two positive integers. Okay, and maximize the product of these integers. So what is the question saying? That we have a number n and we need to break it into different integers. Let those integers be a1, a2, a3 up till an, and the condition is that a1 plus a2 plus a3 plus an should be equal to n first of all, and given a positive integer, break it into at least the sum of at least two positive integers. So n should be greater than or equal to 2, first of all, two positive integers, and maximize the product of these integers, and we need to maximize the product. So we need to do that. Okay. And obviously you may assume that n is not less than 2 and not larger than 58. Okay, so these are the constraints. We know that the maximum value of n is 58, so let's say that it's 60. So we know that n is the maximum value of n is 60. Okay, and break it into at least two integers. So we need to divide this into at least two integers. So obviously let's just say that we need to divide it into two integers. Let's not think about whether n should be greater than, like whether n should be greater than, like the small n should be greater than 2 or anything else. Let's say that it's only 2, and any so okay, so if one number is x, the other number would be n minus x, assuming that we are obviously dividing it into two different numbers, and we know that the sum would be n and the product should be maximum. So this is product and this should be maximum. Now if you know about derivatives, so we know that the derivative of p divided by derivative of x should be equal to 0, which gives us that x should be equal to n by 2. So if we need to divide an integer into only into two integers, we know that the sum should be we know that the integer should be equal or nearly equal. For example, if n is odd, then they cannot be equal obviously, and if that is the case, then the product we get is the maximum product. So we can maybe through intuition use the same theory here. We know that if we divide the number uh, into n small n into n different numbers, let's call it as a. So if we divide a into n different numbers, we know that all the numbers should be nearly equal. All the numbers should be equal, and we need to maximize the sum and maximize the product. And clearly the value of n is very small, it's not that big. So what can we do is we can try brute force. So even if even if it is like showing that it's a DB problem, we can try doing it by brute force. And yeah, So let's do it. So okay, for div for x equals 1, obviously we need to divide it into at least two numbers. So for n equals 2, because we need to at least divide it into two different numbers, and n less than obviously if the number is, let's call it capital N. If the number is capital N, we cannot be equal to that, because if we are equal to n, we are dividing the whole number into ones. For example, if it's 3, we are dividing it into 1 1 1, and the product is 1, uh, which is not right. Like, it cannot be the maximum product, right? But yeah, but assuming that okay, so it can be the maximum product, for example, when we have 1, but it is given that n is at least 2. So what I'm saying is that what will be our answer? Our answer would be at least 1. Our answer would be at least 1, because when we are dividing the number into all equal parts. But if we are not dividing it into equal parts, then this is the maximal we can reach, n plus plus. So n is the number of parts, or let's write it more clearly. So let's divide the number into parts. And okay, so what will be the value of each number? So the value would be n divided by parts. This is the value of one number, but here's the catch. So for example, if we have a number like 3 and we are dividing it into two parts, so 3 by 2 is 1. So you must be thinking that okay, it's 1 and 1, but this is not the case. We have some modulus value also. So our modulus value would be like 3 mod 2. So this, which is equal to 1, which is added to one of the ones. So this one will be added to this. And what if, like, for example, n is equal to let's say n is equal to 8 and n is equal to 3. If we are dividing the number into three parts, then what will happen? 8 by 3 is 2, like integer division is 2. So we have three numbers which are 2 2 2, but we can see that 8 mod 3 is equal to, which is it will be obviously less than 3, and here in this case it's 2. So we have two extra numbers, we have two extra value, and we need to uniformly divide this value among these two. So how we will do that? We will just assign 1 to this and 1 to this. So now this 3 3 2 is the optimal division of 8 into different parts, such that they sum up to 8, which is 2 3 3. So this is what is happening here. So, and let's say the leftover part is, obviously it would be n mod parts. This is the leftover part, and this is the total, this is the individual value. And what will be the count of these individual values? Obviously it will be parts. So we have parts value and we have some left amount. So actually, if we think about it, it's parts into value plus left amount. This holds. So now okay, so now what we will do is that for I equals 0, I less than parts. Why? Because we have parts numbers and I plus plus. Out of these, if I is less than left, we know that 1 is added to it. Like here in this case, 1 was added to it. 1 was added to these two numbers. So if I is less than left, and always notice that I'm using zero based indexing, so don't be confused by that. So if I is less than left, then we have value plus 1. and let's call it temporary, or temp int is equal to 1. This is the temporary value, or else simply temp into equal to value. Because we have exhausted those ones, we have divided them uniformly among all the numbers that we got in the beginning, which are parts value, and now we have the temp as answer. So obviously if our answer was this, now our answer would be max of answer comma temp, and we need to return the answer simply. So this is the implementation. Now what is this max? Obviously we need to just define the max function, which we can do simply. So max of, so now I can simply write max of x comma y int if x is greater than y, return x, or else return y. So now let's try to run this code and see whether it's work. Oh, obviously it will not work because we are doing here minus, we are like subtracting, which is wrong. And okay, we have attempted to run it too soon. And we have some other mistake, which is too many arguments to return. Okay, because here we did not specify what will be the return type, which is int. So this is how we define function in Go. We write the function name, we write the arguments, and then we write the return type. And let's try to submit this code. So this is accepted. So what we did is that, obviously I will explain this in the very next video, but I just wanted to like try to explain it, like while doing this question I try to explain it, like this is what I'm trying for the first time here. First I'm trying to do the question and then I'm going to explain. And wow, you can see that the runtime is 100% faster. So this is kind of the best code, one of the best codes, and the memory usage is also like the least. And one more thing that we can learn here is writing kind of a variadic function in Golang. So let's say that we have this. What does it mean? It means that x, it means that now our function can be like can take any number of arguments. So we can just do like this, max of 1, 2. Earlier we were able to just like find max between two numbers, but now we can find max between any number of numbers we want. And for example, if you have an array of integers, what you can do is you can just do this. It will just like uh, what is the right word? It will like spread that array. It will take out all the elements of the array and spread it over to this function as argument. So we can do it like this while passing an array, but we can like pass any number of arguments we want and it will work. Like this also works and this also work. But actually like this implementation will have to change. Now I will be telling you about the range loops here. So for x, so range x, what is this? So actually range of any number that we can range over, like range of anything, like range of arrays or slices, it just loops over the whole slice and it returns two things every time. The first thing is the index, which we don't care about for now, and the second thing is the value v, which is the actual element, of the array. So now let's say that the maximum value is that we need to return is x0, the very first value, and we are returning this max, and if v is greater than max, then max is equal to v. Obviously this is an error. okay, these are three dots, not two dots. So this will also work, and this is the alternate way that we should implement things if we need, like if we want our max to be more generic. So for example, here I can just like pass any number of arguments and it will still work, because it will still work, but it will like loop through everything, which is what it's doing here. And yeah, and it's calculating the max out of them. So this is, I still don't know what is the right word for this. So you can read, like I randomly typed about this, and yeah, you can read the blog. This is a string array, and technically it's a slice that references an underlying array, and we also use this as a parameter. What is the difference? With respect to the structure, nothing really. The data type resulting from both syntax is the same. Okay. So this also passes an array of arguments. The the triple dot parameter syntax makes a variadic parameter. It will accept 0 or more string arguments and reference them as a slice. Okay, so this is actually kind of a reference, but we can just pass any number of arguments. So just for the ease of passing around, I think it's good. And with respect to calling f, you can pass a slice of string into the variadic parameter with the following syntax. Okay, this is it. And if we want to just like, we know that this accepts a variadic parameter, so how to make a slice as a variadic parameter? We just like write the triple dot after the name of the slice. So yeah, so that is what I did, and it works. So we don't need this though, but it can be useful. For example, if you are writing a template, or if you know that you at times you need to compare more than, you can compare like variable number of things. For example, here you are comparing only two things, but if it's a large code base and down the line you're comparing like three things, you can use this. You can write one function that takes a kind of a variadic parameter, and yeah, you can do that. So this was it for the video, and in the next video I will explain the theory behind this, how I got the intuition and why it works. But whatever I did, the video might seem like kind of like a haphazard video, or kind of a randomly made video, but I try to make it, yeah, but because it's the truth, I try to make it randomly. I just read the question in front of you here on the video live and try to solve it live with some intuition. And the basic thing is that the intuition was, if I were to say again, is that if we are dividing the number into equal parts, only then we will get a maximum. So that is the first principle that we need to work upon. And now, since the value of n was small, we just like brute forced our way to find the maximal, or we to find the different number of parts we can divide the number into. And we just like, after fixing the number of parts, we were able to fix the values. And we just needed to be careful about this left value, like this mod part, and we just needed to distribute it evenly among all the numbers, among all the parts. So yeah, so this was it for the video, and thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.